Well, Grant, good to see you again. Grant Striemer from Procter Gamble, and I don't think we've seen each other in person for a little while. I think we've both been sort of busy doing our things, but through the magic of the internets, we're able to talk today.
Yeah, good to see you too again, Pete. Looking forward to
Yeah.
this conversation.
Are you at Procter and Gamble proper now? Are you at HQ?
I am in Procter and Gamble proper in Cincinnati, where our headquarters is. We have a number of innovation centers
Awesome.
here, but we're a global company with innovation centers around the world.
So, well, let's get into it. I think, when we talk about partners in the Edge AI Foundation, we have chip companies and software companies and product companies. I would say Procter and Gamble is kind of unique in that you're a pretty traditional consumer products company. I mean, you've been around since 1837, which is way before Edge AI. So, what's the journey here? I mean, if you can go onto your website, you guys obviously have done a lot of stuff, a lot of innovations and products and inventing Tide Pods and Febreze and all kinds of things. We use this stuff. Everybody uses this stuff all the time. But the AI space for Procter and Gamble, I mean, how do you describe that in terms of the context of P&G's goals?
That's a great question, Pete. So P&G is a company that continues to innovate, and innovation is part of our lifeblood. And
Yeah.
the only way to stay ahead and really deliver the experiences and meeting unmet needs of our consumers is to stay on top of these kinds of technologies. Now,
Mhm.
while our portfolio of devices isn't as big as our portfolio of our other consumer goods, we have oral care products, grooming products. Some of these are power devices. We don't live at the bleeding edge of technology like computers and entertainment equipment. However, we recognize there is a lot of innovation we can do there to bring better experiences to our consumers. So
Mhm.
I guess quite simply, our AI strategy is how do we make faster, better, cheaper products in the consumer goods industry, but do it in an authentic way where we're really bringing a great experience to our consumers to help them live their life and experiencing the best of it. So as we look at our Edge AI platforms, we have
Mhm.
some that can be found obviously on the internet with some consumer-facing products like the Oral-B Smart Brush, the IO. This is an
Yeah.
example where edge compute came into play of helping consumers brush their teeth better.
Hmm.
There's also our Edge AI strategies on how do we learn better and make better products inside the company. This can
Right.
come in the form of sensor-enabled devices. So there's a lot of different ways AI can touch our company, even above and beyond edge compute. We have AI embedded into our product supply chain and how we manufacture
Sure.
products.
I'm sure, logistics, but also what was really cool is like you guys are using it, first of all, to AI enable some of the products like you mentioned, like the toothbrush product. We can talk more about that. But also, how do you gather telemetry about how consumers are using products and then use AI to sort of uncover insights on
Yeah,
that? So
absolutely.
that's pretty cool.
Well,
And yeah, we use the term connecting AI to the real world. And I think this is probably about as real world as it gets, like the Swiffer mop or the toothbrush. These are daily things that we're doing in the real world, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the unique roles that we as in P&G play in this Edge AI Foundation is we're really representing an end user here. We're
Mhm.
also representing a space that doesn't necessarily require the bleeding edge of technology. It's how can we solve tough problems with solutions that are available, and sometimes they're even commodity level solutions where
Mm.
it may not seem like the most sophisticated solution, but many of the spaces that we're entering in, we have chemists, engineers, biologists,
Mm.
material scientists that traditionally maybe not, they don't play in edge compute or even consider these as solutions. So there's a lot of uncharted opportunities that consumer goods companies can play that aren't traditionally playing in this space, but
Mhm.
could advance much further if they did.
Yeah. And so how does it work inside of P&G? Like you have your organization, is it sort of a central hub that feeds into other product lines, or how does it how do you operationally kind of go about figuring out what AI works for P&G and for your customers like internally?
In a way, all strategies exist at the same time. You have kind of the hub and spoke model, but every OU has or operating unit or business units. They have their own accountability for
Mhm.
how they want to implement AI. So it's kind of all of it. There are certain challenges that require a centralized strategy. There are other challenges that are very bespoke. P&G allows organizations to decide what their own strategy is to meet some of these needs. So
Mhm.
really the way, if you think about R&D, the way R&D is set up in P&G, you have corporate R&D where I sit, where we tend to work on really big, tough challenges that can transcend across multiple business units. But every business unit has their own research and development. They have a group that is focused on a brand. Then they have
Mhm.
their own upstream R&D, but it's in service of just their business units. So there's some tough challenges, and I think edge compute is a good example of that, where they don't all need to take their own journey to get there. There's a lot of foundational platform work that can be done that could serve all their needs. So P&G is good at looking at where are the bespoke opportunities that really the OU should own versus where are these really big, tough challenges where corporate R&D can come together to create
Right.
platforms and partnerships across multiple OUs.
It's like we get a lot of companies now coming into the foundations, like they have their list of challenges, market challenges, and they're like, well, what is this edge AI thing? Like, what can it do for me? And so it's very open ended. Usually, discussion is like, they talk about their challenges that could be in retail, that could be in healthcare. I mean, you're in consumer products, and then there's this whole vast thing of continuously evolving. Edge AI, what it did 6 months ago is not what it's going to do 6 months from now, right? And so it's really interesting to see companies coming in and saying, what is this stuff and what can it do for me? Have you seen like has what's been sort of a surprising thing that you've discovered around kind of the edge AI world that maybe you weren't expecting?
I think the speed of innovation, like they always say, innovation moves fast,
Mhm.
but I guess it's kind of the reaction to big platform changes that come out and how smaller companies create solutions for very specific nuance needs. So if you think like the big players like Nvidia, they don't have the ability to go off and create solutions for everything. And I've been very impressed by the creativity of startups and smaller companies that
Mm,
recognize the gaps and pipes that need to be connected to enable companies that aren't close to that space
mm,
to achieve what they want and solve problems that they need to solve. So I
mm.
guess that also feeds into our strategies at P&G about strategic partnering, because we don't have time to really develop everything on our own. So we
Sure.
strategically bring the outside in, where
Mhm.
companies have invested a lot of thought and time into these solution spaces. All that to say, I think that while I recognize the digital innovation world moves fast, I didn't appreciate how fast it was until I got closer to this area.
Mm, yeah. I mean, we're even moving to a world of mass customization where we've gone from, CPUs to GPUs to NPUs to bespoke silicon designed for a specific washing machine with a particular AI model baked into it. It's very specific. And I think, we have a number of partners too in that space that are enabling this kind of mass customization where you could really design things that are very specific for your product. And you're not taking back in the day, let's see, 20, 30 years ago, you had big Intel CPU and kind of rolled with it. Now it's like, oh man, I got like 93,000 variants here that I could tune for power, cost, thermals, models, size, all kinds of things. So it's pretty cool. Like you said, it's like you go to some of these shows. I was at Embedded World in Austin. Well, I was at CES. I don't know if you got a chance to go to CES, but the universe, it was like about 150,000 people there, so just close friends. Each hall was just so packed with innovation, and there was a lot of edge AI there. It's just amazing that the proliferation that's happening there for virtually any kind of problem you can think of. The solution is out there. Partnering is really smart because there's companies that are really have deep expertise, and you don't need to become a super AI expert in everything, right? But you just need to
Yeah,
find people that are experts, maybe find a solution, right?
and that's a a great point about, all these great solutions exist. And I think the biggest challenge that P&G faces, or really any company trying to apply these, is what is the problem you're trying to solve? Because solution searching for problems becomes a very difficult challenge to find
That's not
value
good.
for consumers. And defining the problem that, if solved, does it really need AI? Does it need edge AI?
Mhm.
And then another challenge that I've faced, that I don't know if this falls into the category of surprises, but there are some solutions we walked away from because it was either too expensive, the power requirements were too great, or it just didn't meet the requirements. And how quickly we need to return back to ask these questions and assess, did the world come up with a solution? That time period is a lot shorter than I thought. Like there are solutions that have become available that are, well, maybe they are cheap enough, or wait, this sensing technology is available now. So
Mm.
what used to be wait for a few years, maybe even 5 to 10 years, is now much shorter of a cycle that we need to keep going back and saying, is this available, or can we actually achieve this price point?
Yeah. And I guess that's a challenge. I mean, for any big successful company, of which Procter and Gamble has been around a long time, like fending off the disruptions or being the disruptor in a market, a very mature market, is hard. I can imagine trying to, sometimes you have to disrupt yourself, right? And an established market, that rather than waiting for a competitor to come in and do something radical, you have to sort of do it yourself. Have you like kind of experienced that in Procter and Gamble?
Yeah. So something that we have to pay attention to as business leaders is what we're seeing a fad or a trend. Is this technology authentically solving a problem, or is it a gimmick? Is it
Mm,
something that truly makes the consumer's life easier, or are we finding a way to create another aspect that's breaking a habit, has to create
mm,
a new habit? All of that has to play into, is this something that is authentically making consumers' lives better? Or is this just something that we're trying to figure out? Is this is there a problem for the solution?
right. There's plenty of solutions chasing problems, but not all of them fit. But you mentioned things are moving really fast with AI, edge AI specifically as well. How do you stay educated? How do you keep your colleagues educated? This idea of continuous learning and workforce development. How is the onus on you to educate P&G about all that's happening in AI? Or I hope not, but how does that work?
That's a great question. So how does P&G stay on top of this? We all have a place and own parts of it. So specifically for me, I manage or co-lead what's the equivalent of an internal professional society, kind of like the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, or IEEE. We have something like that inside of P&G. We use these communities of practice to keep everyone connected, showcasing the best of technologies, examples of how problems have been solved in the company, and just kind of democratizing and sharing information. We will create platforms and socialize these platforms as ways to move forward. Good ideas don't take long to get around P&G, as I'm sure every other company. Other ways we stay up to date are things like this, where I have a role in this foundation and see what is the latest and know who the stakeholders are, and letting them know, hey, these are things that have changed, or here's some potential solutions to these problems.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways, P&G has broad AI digital transformation strategies where we're advertising through our connect and develop platforms, where we're actively searching for solutions. So it's more of open innovation, bringing the outside in. We post a lot of problems there.
Mm-hmm.
And then our leaders will sit on panels and talk about opportunities. So it's a little bit of everything, and we all kind of play our role there in P&G.
I know it's challenging. Even being in the Edge AI Foundation, I'm struggling every day to learn new things to keep up with all of our kind of partner innovations too. So I can imagine working at a big Fortune 100, sort of absorbing all that, and digesting it, which is kind of tough. It's easy to hear it, but to actually sort of really grok it is tough. But have you thought about is there a one big disruption you've been thinking about that you might see, you think is coming down the pike that people should be thinking about in this space?
I can't let out any secrets about our innovation pipeline, but the things that I think about or see as key enablers to breakthrough innovation, the kind that would disrupt our industry, would be, I guess, two things. If I could separate them into the consumer facing side and the, call it, internal capability side, is the ability to create these edge platform tools in a way where truly people who have a sense of the problem they're trying to solve and a willingness to learn just enough so that they can apply these kinds of tools with, call it, auto machine learning, or call it easy enough systems to put together with the right training data, where they could quickly get up and running and see the value of what edge compute can do for their problem, to then justify investing more time in it. The more the community can rally around that kind of system, and we're seeing some of it, but the more we can get to a place where, call it the Arduino revolution of microcontrollers, what Arduino did for microcontrollers is a potential what Edge AI Foundation could do for Edge AI. There's a lot of frustrating challenges that only experts can get through today. And I think that the more we can grow experts and practitioners to get after these problems with these kind of tools, I think that that's what I'm really excited about, and what I think Edge AI Foundation is working towards. On the consumer facing front, I think that we'll start to see better problem definition because we'll have a better understanding also of what solutions can do.
Mhm.
When you lack understanding of what edge AI is, you tend to generalize it too much, and you either define problems in the wrong way or assume that it can do everything and not
Right.
have the right guardrails around, well, what can edge AI really do, or how to manage expectations around, what is it that it needs to do from a requirement standpoint. So
Mm.
those are the two kind of generalized areas I see as huge opportunities for what edge AI could do, not just for P&G, but I think companies that typically don't play in digital innovation as their core expertise.
I really appreciate the time. Any closing thoughts or any words of wisdom that we missed?
I think
No.
the advice I would give anyone getting into this space would
Yes.
be a humble learner and don't try to be an expert per se, but try to be someone that asks a lot of questions and stays focused on the problem and looks for what is the minimum viable product that helps us understand, is this a space worth exploring, or should
Mm.
we redefine the problem or look at something in a new way?
Right.
The more you can do that, you will quickly get to where you want to be.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Pete.